Hi 10th graders, welcome to your very first Modern Classroom video for English 10. Today we are going to be talking about what Modern Classroom is and what you can expect from English 10 this year. So I know some of us have maybe done Modern Classroom in the past. Maybe your 9th grade English class was Modern Classroom, or maybe you've done it for your math class or other classes. And maybe some of us are brand new and you have no idea what I'm talking about, and that's okay. I think all of us could use a refresher, especially since we're coming back from summer break. So we're going to be talking about what Modern Classroom is today. So I want you to think about a time when you were in a class and the teacher was lecturing or teaching a lesson and you already learned that material like way back in middle school, and so you're so bored. Like you are just bored out of your mind in this class. Or maybe you can think of a time when the teacher was moving really fast through new material and you were super overwhelmed and you're like, oh my God, I need to slow down and I need a little extra support. Or maybe you felt like you had a question in class, but you were kind of nervous to ask it in front of the whole class and you just didn't feel like you could get the support that you needed. So Modern Classroom is designed to actually help all of these situations so that you're not bored and you're not overwhelmed and you're moving at your own pace and learning what you need to learn. So this is a Modern Classroom, and that means that you are going to be watching instructional videos. You're going to be working one-on-one or in small groups with me and with your classmates. Different students in this class are actually going to be working on different lessons at different times, and that is totally fine. You're going to take mastery checks at the end of every lesson, and I'll explain more about what that means. So Modern Classroom is a class where teachers use instructional videos instead of lectures. So I won't really be standing at the front of the class and lecturing at you. And this is so students can move at your own pace, you can get help when you need help, and you can move on to the next lesson after you learn and master the content of the lesson that you're working on. All right, so in front of you, you have a packet, and you'll see that there's actually spots to take some notes in your packet. And you're going to be taking notes on the three aspects of Modern Classroom, the first of which is blended instruction. So blended instruction means that students access new content through teacher-created videos. So I'm going to be making videos that you're going to be watching, and that's how you will learn a lot of the content. The second component to Modern Classroom is self-paced structure. So that means that students learn at their own pace within each unit. We're all working on Unit 0 right now, but some of us might be on Lesson 3 and some of us might be on Lesson 4. That's okay. The third and final component of Modern Classroom is mastery-based grading. That just means that you progress when you demonstrate mastery. So when you pass your mastery check and you show that you've learned the lesson, that's when you move on to the next lesson. All right, so this is our daily routine. What is English going to look like every single day? The first 5 minutes of class is when we're going to do a warm-up all together. This is usually when I'm going to give some important announcements, and we might do some sort of like do now or warm-up question or icebreaker or activity all together. Then we're going to move on to the bulk of class, which is going to be you working on whatever lesson you're on in the unit. That might look like watching a video and taking some notes in your packet. It also might look like having a hub huddle. That just means that you or a small group might come up to the front of the room and meet with me to check in. If you have any questions, you can work with me and figure those things out. You might be doing some sort of activity in your packet or with a partner or a group. And you might be taking a mastery check if you are done with your lesson and you're ready to show that you've mastered the content. Then we're going to end class by reflecting on what we accomplished during the day and cleaning up our materials. And this is what English is going to look like pretty much every day. We're really going to get into the routine and learn that this is our schedule every day. So what materials do you need for English 10? Because you're going to be watching these videos, it's really important to have your Chromebook charged every single day, and so you can have access to Schoology in class. It's important to have headphones. If you don't have your own headphones, that's okay. I have some that you can borrow, but if you have your own that you prefer to use, bring them to class so that you can listen to the videos. You also need something to write with. Again, I have pens and pencils in our classroom that you can borrow if you don't have your own. And then you should always bring your unit packet with you. That's going to be super important. And if you want like a folder or something to help you keep track of your unit packet, come talk to me. I have some folders that you can use. All right, so I know we've talked about this already a little bit, but Cooper has a new technology policy this year. It's going to take us some time to learn, but this is the overall guideline that you need to have your phone put away during class time. So when you come into English every day, I want you to just right away put that phone in your backpack so that it's not tempting and you're not distracted. Okay, so I want to talk about deadlines and how they work. We are going to have two types of deadlines. The first is a target deadline, and that's kind of like a goal. If you follow the target deadlines for each lesson, you are going to stay on pace or on track in the unit. I also understand that sometimes life happens. Maybe you have a bad day and you can't stay on track and finish by the target deadline, and that's okay. In a modern classroom, you can always go back and do a lesson after the target deadline and catch up. The other type of deadline is a hard deadline, and this one is an absolute deadline that you need to have your work done by. So the hard deadline is going to be at the end of the unit, and you need to have all of the lessons and all of the mastery checks done by that hard deadline in order to take the summative. So with all deadlines, I really want you to communicate with me. If something happens, if there's emergency and you can't finish by the hard deadline, please come talk to me, send me an email or talk to me during class, and we can work something out. But I won't know how to support you if you don't communicate. I'm going to talk about the pacing tracker next. That's going to help us stay on pace. I already said you'll be eligible for the summative if you finish all your lessons by the hard deadline. And this is a really helpful tool called the pacing tracker that we're going to use to help us all stay on pace. So you're going to see all the names of each student in the class, and it's going to keep track of what lesson you are working on. So it's super handy. Students in the past have loved this because it helps them know what lesson they should be working on and if they need to catch up or revise something. So I'll have this kind of displayed on the board during class and you can keep track of what you're working on. This is another way the pacing tracker might look, and it'll help you see who's working on the same lesson as you. So if I'm Will, I could see like, oh, I'm on lesson 5.6, and so is Kaylee, and so I'm going to go work with her so that we can finish this lesson together. A mastery check is what you're going to take at the end of each lesson, and you can think of this kind of as like a short quiz, just to show what you've learned. You take it at the end of every lesson, and we have a pretty strict protocol for how and when you take mastery checks. So you're actually going to sit up in the front of the room at the mastery check zone. You can't have any electronics with you, and you're going to take them independently and silently on paper with pencil. The mastery checks, you either pass it and you move on to the next lesson, or maybe you need to revise something and maybe go back and watch the video again or meet with me to figure out how to revise. This is a formative assessment, so they're each worth 10 formative points. If you need to revise, you can still get full credit. You can get all of those points by revising your mastery check. And you got to show mastery, so you got to pass all the mastery checks in the unit in order to take the summative assessment. All right, I know that was a lot. If you have any questions, please ask me. But in review, A Modern Classroom is a class where teachers use instructional videos instead of lectures so that you as students can move at your own pace, you can get help and support when you need it, and you can move on to the next lesson after you've truly showed mastery of the content. I'm super excited to get to know you all this year and work with you, and now you can move on to the next video.